The game starts with Extra this time, who plays a Cabaret Courtyard, sacrificing it, get a forest, and gain 1 life. The other 3 players follow suit, with Sam playing a Llanowar Wastes, John playing a tapped Choked Estuary, and Tom playing a Swamp. The real game now begins, with Extra playing a Rejuvenating Springs and a Trail of Mystery. He passes to Sam. Sam plays a Swamp, then pays 1 life to ramp a bit with 3 visits, getting an underground mortuary and surveilling a cart the graveyard. John simply plays a Plains and passes, while Tom ends the turn cycle with a Mountain and a Magebane Lizard. Extra plays a Band Panorama, then gives the turn to Sam, keeping his mana open. Sam first casts Barrowgoyf. Next he plays a tapped Valgavoth Lair, naming green, and passes the turn. John plays a Hall of Helios Generosity, followed by a Smuggler's Share, triggering Magebane to deal 1 damage to John. After that, he passes. Tom plays a Swamp, then advances his mana with a Soul Ring, followed by his now castable commander, Valgavoth.
Your fate is sealed, and your soul shall be my feast.
In the end step, Extra casts Harrow, sacrificing a forest, first taking 1 damage from Magebane, then getting an island and the forest, which he immediately uses to cast Resculpt on Valgavoth, paying 2 life for Ward and a 2 from Magebane. Once the commander is taken care of, Extra proceeds to his turn. Extra first casts his commander, Zimone, Mystery Unraveler, then plays an Evolving Wilds, triggering Zimone to manifest Dread, and Trail to search up a forest. Next he activates Wilds, sacrificing it to get a tapped forest, again triggering Zimone, this time to flip the Manifest. Extra then passes, with John making a treasure on end of turn thanks to Share. Sam first attacks John with Barrowgoyf, triggering his effect to mill 5. In his second main, he casts Blossoming Tortoise, milling 3 and returning a forest. After that, he passes, and Extra sacrifices his passage to get an island, triggering Zimone to manifest Dread, and Trail to find the forest. John plays a Godless Shrine, paying 2 life, followed by his commander, Aminatou, Veil Piercer. Tom first casts Polluted Bonds, triggering Magebane to deal 1 himself. He attacks Sam with his Elemental, then gives the turn back to Extra. Extra starts by casting IAC, Tyrant of the Gyre Strait, and plays a forest, triggering IAC to draw, Zimone to manifest Dread, and Bonds to drain 2. In response, John casts Rapid Hybridization on said IAC, triggering Magebane to take 1 damage. After everything is resolved, Trail triggers to get a forest, and Share triggers on end of turn to net John a card. Sam starts his turn by dredging for 5. He attacks John with Barrowgoyf and Tortoise, triggering the latter to mill 3 and return a forest tapped, resulting in a Bonds drain for 2. John then blocks the Tortoise with his Aminatou, followed by a Barrowgoyf trigger, milling 6. In his second main, he casts Life from the Loam on a forest, triggering Magebane to take 1. He then plays said forest, triggering Bonds a second time. Finally, he ends the turn with a cast of his commander, Winter, Cynical Opportunist, and the trigger of his ability to return Sir Conrad into play with a Finale counter, alongside John Share to make a treasure. On John's upkeep, Aminatou triggers Surveilling 2, putting 1 into his graveyard. He then miracles a Fractured Realm, triggering Magebane to deal 1. He plays a Shipwreck Marsh, triggering Bonds, then casts Catilda, Dawnhard Martyr, before passing the turn. Tom simply plays a Mount Doom and recasts his commander, Valgavoth, Harrower of Soul. With his engine once again assembled, he gives the turn back to Extra. Extra plays a forest, triggering Bonds, Valgavoth to gain a counter plus draw a card, and Zimone to manifest Dread. He casts a Haunt Woods Shrieker, followed by a sacrifice of his Panorama to get a tapped forest, triggering Bonds and Zimone, this time flipping the manifest. Finally, he casts a Script Ranger, again triggering Bonds and Zimone, before passing the turn, with John making 2 treasures thanks to Share. Sam starts his turn by dredging for 6, triggering Conrad to deal 3. He attacks Tom with Tortoise, Winter, and Barrowgoyf, triggering Winter to mill 3, Conrad to deal 1, Tortoise to mill 3 plus return a swamp, Bonds to drain 2, and a Valgavoth to gain a counter plus draw. Tom then blocks the Tortoise with his Elemental, followed by a Barrowgoyf trigger, milling 6, having Conrad deal 3. In his second main, he casts Aftermath Analyst, milling 3, and triggering Conrad to deal 1. He casts Stinkweed Imp, then tries to go to his end step, but is stopped by Extra and his rapid hybridization on Winter, triggering Magebane and Conrad to each deal 1. Sam then passes, with Extra jumping in again, this time casting a Roiling Regrowth, sacrificing a forest to get a forest, triggering Zimone to manifest Dread and flip, alongside Bonds triggering 2 times to drain him for 4. On John's upkeep, Aminatou triggers Surveilling 2, putting 1 into his graveyard. He plays a Shattered Sanctum, triggering Bonds and Valgavoth. Next he casts Doomwake Giant, triggering its effect 2 times. In response, Extra activates his Ranger to return itself to hand and untap Aminatou. Once the Doomwake trigger resolves, Conrad triggers 2 times before John goes to combat, attacking Tom with Catilda. After combat, John casts Underworld Connections on his land, triggering Magebane and Doomwake 2 times, killing off most of the board, and triggering Conrad 9 more times. Once the dust settles, he passes. Tom plays a Luxury Suite, then casts the pinging duo of Underworld Dreams and Fate Unraveler. Once in play, Tom sends Valgavoth at John, finishing him off and passing the turn to Extra. On Extra's draw, both Unraveler and Dreams trigger, followed by the trigger of Valgavoth to gain a counter and draw. Unable to cast any creature spells, Extra attacks Tom with a Shaya and passes. On Sam's draw, both Unraveler and Dreams trigger, followed by the trigger of Valgavoth. He plays a Tree of Tales, triggering Bonds, then goes to combat, attacking Tom with Barrowgoyf. Tom decides to chump with his Unraveler, not wanting to give Sam any more resources. In his second main, Sam casts Grist the Hunger Tide, and uses her -2 to sacrifice Barrowgoyf and destroy Valgavoth, of course paying for ward. Once the ability resolves, he recasts his commander, Winter, Cynical Opportunist, and goes to his end step, where Winter reanimates 6. Tom plays a Swamp, then casts the trio of Razorkin Needlehead, Nightshade Harvester, and Suit Imp, before passing the turn to Extra. Extra draws his card, then dies to the trigger of Dreams. With that, the turn goes to Sam. Sam starts his turn by dredging for 3. He casts Life from the Loam, returning 3 lands and taking 1 from the Imp. Next he retrades the Shigeki, Jukai Visionary, activates Grist to mill 1, make an insect, and lastly casts Altar of the Goyf. After all that, he attacks with Winter, triggering both him and Altar to give him +5/+5. Once the damage is dealt, he returns Mindrak Harpy with Winter, before giving the turn to Tom. Tom simply draws his card, has a quick think, then concedes the game, knowing that he's beat.